Tax evasion, GST evasion in fact, is increasingly in the news every other day. In the latest, GST intelligence teams have reportedly searched Indian offices of foreign carriers for alleged tax evasion. As per various media reports, Directorate General of GST Intelligence DGGI officials have conducted search operations at Etihad, Emirates, Saudi Airlines, Qatar Airways, Air Arabia, Oman Air, Kuwait Airways, among the 7 Middle Eastern airlines it has conducted raids on. Now, DGGI has alleged that tax evasions by these carriers is happening on account of import of services from head office by Indian branch offices. Not just airlines, many companies have reported GST notices in the past few days. To quote a few, homegrown fast consumer goods major Dabur India got a notice to pay goods and services tax to the tune of 321 crore rupees, along with interest and penalty for GST shortfall and non-payment. Gaming company Delta Corp was also notified of a substantial tax liability and a cumulative tax shortfall amounting to 23,000 crore rupees. Ritesh Kanodia joining us here on the show at this point in time. Ritesh, thank you very much for taking time out, sir. What's happening here? I mean, not just the 7 airlines that we got to know of, whose premises are currently being searched. Dabur, Delta Corp and a lot more others getting GST notices day after day. Are they not in compliant? Do they not know what laws are? Or is there a gap in understanding?
Currently, what is happening is that department is going on through this process of audit and assessments, for which there is a last date of September for 17-18, and the department has very recently become active on such audit and assessments. So when such kind of audit and assessments happen, you talk about any tax laws, right? There are GST and specifically being a new law, there would be issues of interpretation. There would be issues where there would be a lack of clarity in terms of applicability of a tax. So you mentioned Delta Airlines for the gaming companies as an example, where
Delta Corp,
demand
yes.
of Delta Corp, where 55,000 crores of demand have been raised. Now, this is an issue of valuation of whether the GST should first be applicable at all, and B, if applicable, at what value. So the authorities have one view and the gaming companies have another view to say that what I earn is, merely the difference and not the entire bet value. So it's an issue of interpretation where the GST Council has formulated a value. I don't think so. This is in all cases about tax evasion, but I think it is more to do with whether the particular provision of law applies in a particular manner or not. So let's come to this entire discussion on the airline notices that is being received and whether they are liable to tax under import of services or not. So there is a particular provision under the GST law to say that transaction between related parties are liable even if without consideration. Now here we are talking about a structure where there is a branch which is located in India.
Okay.
The branch is supporting the head office in certain aspects, right? Now the question is whether the branch is a separate establishment or not, liable under reverse charge, whether the services are being availed by the branch from the head office, or is the head office consuming those services, and therefore there is no question of any reverse charge. So there are a lot of facets which needs to be dealt with before you come to a conclusion that whether there is any liability to GST or not. Now, typically what happens in such scenarios is that the branch would be remitting some money outside of India, which makes the authorities to come to a conclusion that this is reverse charge, but it may not necessarily be a reverse charge evasion. So we'll have to see and analyze whether and see and wait and see as to how this evolves. What is the factual information that the airlines submit, and ultimately, what is the allegation and what is the actual position in law around this. So
Okay.
to answer your question, I don't think so. This is all to do with tax evasion or a lack of understanding of law. I think this is more to do with, interpretation of the tax authorities versus interpretation of a taxpayer.
Okay, but as a result of which, you have a industry like the gaming industry, for that matter, which is saying that this is a death knell for us. The increased in the amount of revenue notices to the tune which is double or triple the market capitalization of some of these gaming companies, which essentially means that they cannot pay up. They simply don't have enough revenues. In which case scenario would it not be prudent for both the taxpayer and the taxing authority to perhaps come to a conclusion before giving out notices, handing them out to people and to companies in a manner which appears to be handing out, doling out toffees and cakes like sweets. We keep hearing about these notices every day.
No, you're absolutely right. And what is gaming is a very peculiar scenario. And unfortunately, the way it has moved is that the gaming company did went to the authorities to get a clarity on the position of whether the tax is applicable or not. It had dual consequences. So one is that it was confirmed that there is a tax demand and show cause notices are being issued. The government went ahead and even amended the law to say that I will now tax you on the full value. So while you're mentioning that ideally it should have been a dialogue and a resolution, the dialogue has actually resulted in a consequence where at least going forward, while there is a position of challenge, they can go and challenge the new provisions as well. Let's say going forward they will collect the GST amount and comply with the law. That's futuristic. The problem which is now happening is for the past when the law was not clear at all, right? And there was an issue in terms of what is the value of taxability. In that situation, at least the government should come out with some relief to say that, okay, we understand that there was a lack of clarity and therefore we are granting you this. That is not happening. In fact, the government is making statements to say that we were always of the belief that the amended provisions are a matter of clarification and not a matter of change in position in law. That is where the strictness is, and you would see all these gaming companies have gone to the High Court.
Right.
To say that we do not agree to this tax now. But as a consequence, you've already seen, right? Some of these gaming companies have crashed on the stock market immediately. That's the public reaction. So it does have a
So
very
what's
critical.
the middle way, Ritesh? If I were to ask you, what is the middle path in all of this? You have an overactive GST authority, which is not giving a leeway to some of these companies. Some of these companies say, we were not clear about the existing rules and regulation. Government says, no, but these were always the rules and regulations. Gaming companies were always supposed to pay 28% tax. In absence of a clarity, what is the middle way?
So if you the middle way is clearly what happened, let's say, with the ice cream companies, where there was a dispute on, whether there is a 18% GST on ice cream or whether there is a 5%. And what the government said is fine, the 18% is on a going forward basis. But
Right.
for the past, I agree to a 5%. I
Okay.
think that is the crux.
So no retrospective implementation, essentially.
No retrospective implementation because that was never the law. And
All
even if
right.
for a moment there was some interpretation issue,
Okay.
why can't the government be proactive to say that, okay, I understand in the past there was some lack of clarity, there were some disputes. It's not
Right.
that the matter was clear. The matter was clear. There was no need to go to the GST Council or there was no
Absolutely.
need to make any amendments, right? Why did the government went ahead and made any amendments in the law?
Right.
So at
Absolutely.
least all,
Ritesh, as much as I would love to hear further to that, we've run out of time. Thank you so much, sir, for taking time out. Really good to have you on the show. Thank you so much for speaking to Newsline.
thank you.